Hello, my name is Ayla Esen and welcome to the third part of the course How to Boost Your Creativity. Here is the outline of the third part of this course. So from now on, we will move on to discussing different tools and techniques to improve your creativity skills. So in this part, we will start with two different approaches. The first one is the bisociative process, and the second one is the analogy approach. So let's start with the bisociative process. Before starting our techniques, we have to remind ourselves that creativity can be learned. We were actually born creative, and we also limit our creativity potential through the education system, through cultural norms, and through the subconscious limitations that we put into our thinking. So we are actually people who are thinking inside the box because we haven't learned how to think outside the box. So as Pablo Picasso says here, every child is an artist, but the problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. So as grown-ups, it is actually possible for us to go back to our childhood minds where actually there is no limitation to thinking new ideas. So our first approach is the bisociative process, and it's been introduced by Arthur Koestler as the concept of bisociation in 1964. And he proposes that creativity arises as a result of the intersection of two quite different frames of reference, and thus creativity is facilitated through their conceptual blending. So what we do here is that you take two irrelevant concepts and you combine them, you bring them together to come up with a meaningful approach, meaningful idea, new idea. So it's really an effective way to come up with new product ideas. One example is online booksellers. Like 3 or 4 decades ago, nobody could think about purchasing items on the internet, right? However, when you combined the two concepts, a bookstore and the internet together, we can come up with this idea. Another bisociative combination here is the house and car combined together makes up a new product idea called the caravan. So you can live in it and you can travel in it. It combines the value propositions of these two different concepts together. Like new generation circus, for instance, where you see no animal shows, but you see dance performances, you see gymnastic performances, and Broadway show like shows in it. So they bring together Broadway shows and the value proposition of circus together to come up with a new entertainment design. Now, here is a task for you to force your minds to use the bisociative process to bring in a new idea, okay? Now try to develop a new product or a new service idea, pairing the words golf and elephant. So these may seem two irrelevant concepts or words for you, but just spend some time, like 10 or 15 minutes, writing down which value propositions or which specific aspects these two different words have, and how you can combine them to come up with a new product or service idea. I'm sure you will be surprised by the results that you will gain through this 10-minute exercise. The second approach to improve the creativity skills is the analogy approach. So making analogies is another way of producing creative ideas. You know, the dictionary definition of analogy is like finding similarities or comparisons to a similar phenomena. So what you should do here in this approach is to find similarities of two concepts and to use this similarity, use this analogy to come up with a new creative idea. A very famous example for the analogy approach is the potato chips example. So a very famous potato chips company was having trouble in packaging these chips because when they were trying to put the potato chips, the fried chips, into the packages, they used to crush into small pieces. And you know, it's really not very nice to see all of these chips crushed in the package. So the product engineer in this company was spending some time in the park thinking about how to solve this problem of potato chips crushing into pieces. And he was watching these guys collecting the leaves from the ground in the park. So what they did is that they sticked the needles into the leaves and then they put it into bags. Okay, they put the leaves into the bags. But how could they do this? I mean, how could these dry leaves not crush? Because they were wet, they were moisty due to the rain that from the day before maybe. Okay, so this analogy gave the engineer an idea. If you make an analogy of dry leaves with these dry potato chips, it's obvious that when you moisturize these chips, they could be more soft and easily shaped, right? They are not easily broken if they are soft. So what the engineer did was to first moisturize the chips, put them in the package, in the factory line, in the assembly line, put them into the package, and then dry them inside the package. This way, the potato chips did not crush. So this is a very famous story of the analogy approach. Now let's take a look at the steps that we should apply in creating analogies. And this exercise is also going to give you an opportunity to come up with really creative, outside the box ideas. Now, the first step is that you have to first generate an analogy to your problem, okay? Try to select an action that you can compare your situation to. But this can be anything from planning a wedding to brushing your teeth to cleaning the bathroom, going on a holiday, driving a car, okay? Now, just assume that your problem is, for instance, customer satisfaction, okay? There is low customer satisfaction in your company and you would like to increase this. So you have to come up with a creative idea to on how to increase customer satisfaction. So try to compare satisfying customers or making customers happy to driving a car, okay? What are the similarities? Can you find any similarities with making your customers happy and driving a car? What do you need to drive a car? First, you have to have a license. You have to know how to drive, right? Maybe you should know or you should have some kind of standards to satisfy your customers. Do you have written standards, written directions on how to make customers happy, just like how to learn driving a car? Or like, are there any rules like traffic rules in customer satisfaction as well? So you try to find similarities like that, and to create an analogy is to force yourself to think these similarities and to combine them into meaningful creative ideas. So the last step, therefore, is to use these similarities to generate new creative ideas. Go through the similarities to find interesting insights. What is there that you can use to start generating ideas? So look for new ways to look at your situation. So now take 10 minutes and try to solve the problem of low customer satisfaction through using this analogy. Satisfying customers is like going on a holiday. Okay? Try to find similarities between satisfying customers and going on a holiday. And then try to transform them, these similarities, into new ideas, creative ideas to ensure customer satisfaction. This 10-minute exercise for you is going to enlarge the limitations that you put into thinking. So you will find that you will start thinking outside the box. So this was the end of part 3 of our course, and we will move on to talking about different creativity techniques in the 4th part as well. So in the next part, we will talk about the brainstorming technique and also the reverse brainstorming technique. Thank you for your participation, and I'm hoping to see you on the 4th part of this course.